welcome. It's a small meeting today, so it'll be an intimate one, but great for questions at the end, hopefully. We're also live in our Facebook group. So if you're joining us on there, welcome as well. You can use the comment section to ask questions. We'll keep an eye on it there as well. But welcome. I hope everyone's having a great Thursday so far. For those of you who went to the AMS meeting, welcome back. It was nice seeing everyone in Boston if you came over and said hello. Can't find my clicker. Hold on, I think I might have to exit out of this to make it work. Okay. So today we're joined by Eleanor Letmier and Kim Schneider as they're sharing their information about the Montessori Global Growth Fund, and also going to be sharing some tips for school leaders about fundraising. As members of the board of MGGF, they have some great advice for fundraising for nonprofits. I'm going to hand it over to Kim and Eleanor as they share their presentation with us today. And hopefully by the end, we'll have some time for Q&A. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to utilize the chat or the comments if you're joining us on Facebook, and we'll make sure those are addressed. All right, Kim and Eleanor, I'll pass it over to you now.
Hi, everybody. I am Kim Schneider, and I am the head of school at Chesterfield Montessori School. And I'm also on the board of the Montessori Global Growth Fund. And our purpose in speaking to you is to introduce you, of course, to MGGF. And I'm going to let Eleanor talk a little bit more about what we do. But as a busy educator, administrator, I'm thinking what's on your mind is probably, how is this going to help my school? I know that we all want to see Montessori change lives and help children realize their potential around the world. And in the busyness of the day-to-day, we're all thinking too about, well, how is this going to impact the children that are in my charge? And so Montessori Global Growth Fund has created these amazing tools for a program called Children for Change. And what it does is it gives you a set curriculum. It's a turnkey set of materials that Montessori Global Growth Fund can give to you as a teacher, a guide, or an administrator. And that way you can allow your elementary students, your adolescent students to learn how to be a philanthropist and to actually create a program where they are raising money for a cause that they believe in. And it's something that they can do once or they can do over and over again. And MGGF makes it really easy for you. So Eleanor, why don't you talk a little bit on the next slide about what MGGF is and what we do?
So thank you so much, Kim, for that lovely introduction. So as you all know, Montessori is not accessible to all children, but we really support the dreamers and those who seek to positively impact their communities through a Montessori education. And we do this with our mission, which is the next slide, if you'll click that. Whoops, we'll go back one. It didn't do the build that we thought it was going to do, but that's okay. Well, there it is. Okay. It's freeing a child's infinite potential. Clearly, we want all children to be able to be as free as they can and to really use their skills and abilities, their innate potential to the maximum. So on the next, if you click the next slide, it shows our vision, and that is really to realize Dr. Maria Montessori's vision of world peace and doing this one community at a time. And then our role, which is the next slide, is to fund these grassroots Montessori initiatives. And we do this to support optimal human development. So what do we do? Let's see, let's go to the next slide. And there you'll see that we fund Montessori initiatives, and we do this around the world. And I think this is really important. We'll show a map in a little bit that shows some of the places where we have made grants. And we always focus our grants on under-resourced communities. These are communities that may lack schools, they may lack food, they may lack jobs. or there may be some other kind of restriction, but they are really under-resourced, and that is truly where we focus our attention. And we'll do one of three kinds of funding. We'll fund school capacity building, and that doesn't mean that we build a whole school. It may mean that we give just a partial, give some money for a partial thing, like building a outdoor kitchen. We'll also help with the acquisition or creation, making of Montessori materials. And then finally, we support teacher training around the world. So I'm going to hand it back to Kim to talk about Children for Change, our free turnkey tool for elementary and adolescents.
So again, and if we look on the next slide, it'll talk a little bit about Children for Change. And we can introduce elementary and adolescent children to the concept of fundraising or philanthropy. They learn what is a philanthropist, who does philanthropy, which can be themselves. And then what do philanthropists do? How do they impact the world? And any of you who have worked with children know how much they love to make a positive impact. You know, starting with their own little classroom, they see how they are contributing to the lives of the children or the pets that they're caring for, or, you know, making the classroom more lovely for everybody who participates in it. And then once they get to elementary and adolescent, they're really looking at how can I have an impact on the world even beyond my community. And that is really exciting. So on the next slide, we can see what are the materials that you would get as a school. And again, this is free. All you need to do is to ask for it. And all of these materials are very easily modifiable to make them particular for your school and your community. So we provide those materials, which is an outline for the guide, including a list of all the different initiatives that MGGF does. So if the children decide they want to raise money for one of the MGGF programs that we have going on, great. If they would rather raise money for something else, that's fine too. But we'll definitely educate them about how Montessori is impacting lives around the world, which tends to be very interesting for children. They like to think about, I love my school. Wouldn't it be great to help other children someplace else to have an experience similar to what I'm having? They really tend to love that. And it can also be a great opportunity for cultural research when they find out about children in another community. It also comes with an explanatory letter for the school administration. So it tells the person who's in my position, the head of school, or maybe your director of education, this is what Children for Change is and how it can impact your school. There's also worksheets for the students to fill out so that they can guide their learning about philanthropy. A poster that the students can edit to tell everybody in their community about the fundraiser, and then also a sample note that you can send home to your families that explains this is what you're doing. And then of course, you can broadcast it to your immediate families, or you can broadcast it for the larger community, depending on how you want to do it. And then finally, there's a thank you letter, already written. Again, of course, you can modify it, that you can send out to your donors once people have bought something or contributed some way to your fundraiser. So if we go to the next slide, it can show how Children for Change, we can go back one more. Shows the children, how can I be a philanthropist? And it really walks the children, really helps the guide walk the children through planning, thinking about what problem do we want to help solve? And again, looking through the different grants and projects that MGGF has might help educate the children about different types of needs that are out there. And then even if they choose to do something else, walking through that process helps them start to imagine, what do people need in different parts of the world? And then what maybe could we do about that? And that's the second step. What are we going to do? by that, it means which project are we going to pick, but then also how would we want to raise money? Is it we want to have a bake sale? We want to create something with our hands that we can sell. We want to just, open it up and ask. We have done even, asking children or families to bring in their loose change. There are lots of different ways that that can happen. And then they decide, when is the fundraiser going to take place? How does it fit into our school calendar? Checking in with our administration about how that's going to work and how we're going to get the information out to the families. Of course, we encourage the children to write a letter that we can then, you can put out to your schools. And again, are we going to ask our families only, or are we going to put it out to a broader network of people? And then if we go to the next slide, Eleanor can show a little bit about MGGF. Where have we given grants around the world?
So we've given grants, really, as you can see, around the world. And I'm not going to talk about all of these. First of all, it would bore you all to tears. But secondly, it's going to take too long. But we have worked with programs in Tanzania, in Kenya. And this is in Kenya, there was a very remote area where they saw people coming in, other members of their country, not necessarily their family units, but their country, and could see that these people knew how to do things they didn't know how to do, and they wanted their children to learn about it. So these residents of East Bakat, this is a group that is nomadic and move with the grasses. As the grasses are changed, they move their whole homes to follow them. They raise camels and they raise goats. They wanted that kind of education, and we came in with a grant to help to train one of 3 people who were trained as teachers. They have now gone back into their communities, and another 4 teachers are being trained. In the Dominican Republic, way over there in the Caribbean, we have helped also with that outdoor kitchen that I mentioned earlier. And all of this has been done in the last 3 years. So I want to hand it back to Kim, who'll tell you a little bit about a case study, and that is what her school did on behalf of the Ukrainian children.
So I was really excited as a board member of MGGF, who also happens to be the head of school, to assist Eleanor just a little bit in, what would a school be looking for? What would be useful to a school? And so as she and other people on her team were developing these materials, I looked at them and, we tweaked them a little bit. And then I was so excited to have our school be part of the inaugural group that used these materials. And that year happened to be the year when the war broke out in Ukraine. And so we were all in agreement that this was an urgent need, and we wanted to help people in Montessori schools in the Ukraine. And our school was one of a few schools that together raised more than $5,000. We did it in various ways. At our school, our adolescent program had built many different things, and then they cooked some things that they sold. And then we also had our elementary students learned about some Ukrainian dishes that they wanted to make, and they made them and sold them. And it was just really fun seeing the families get out of their cars at drop-off time in the morning and going up to the children at the tables and buying these things. And it was a fun social event. The children were so excited to be making this impact. Then we did something similar. We asked families for loose change one time. Another time over the holidays in December, we had children raising more money for Children for Change. And I tell you what, these children, when they total up the amount they have raised, they are so excited. They can't wait to come and tell me. I saw children, jumping for joy, and because they feel so powerful. They know that I have done this. I have worked with my friends, and I'm going to touch people who I'm never going to see, but I'm improving their lives. And that just makes them so, so happy. And I was really thrilled to be part of it. And our school will continue to participate. As a Montessorian, of course, I never impose this on the children. I go and I make my little bid, or one of the teachers, proposes to the children, hey, we have this opportunity to make a difference in this way. What do you think? And every time the children have come back and said, yes, we want to do this. So I'm excited for that to continue.
So to give you a little bit more, if you'll go to the next slide, to tell you a little bit about training teachers, because obviously no classroom is going to be successful without teachers who are trained. And in this particular, we'll award grants that cover everything from tuition, room and board, to transportation. And in this particular picture, there are 4 young people. They are studying to become primary teachers for Montessori, Mother Earth Montessori School in Gulu, Uganda. This is a small city in northern Uganda. They sent their 4 young people over to St. Anne's Montessori Training College in Nakuru, Kenya, to be trained. And everything was going great until March of 2020, when the world shut down. And they were both locked in Kenya. They couldn't get back because the border was closed into Uganda. And then they got back into Uganda and the border closed again, and they couldn't get back to do their practicums. By this time, they'd used up all the money that they had set aside for their tuition and practicums and transportation, room and board, everything. And we came in and gave them a small grant. They were able finally to get back over to Kenya, where they did their practicums at a school called Corner of Hope Montessori School. This is located in an internal displaced persons camp. And what's really poignant about this is that is exactly where these young people were going to go back to Gulu, Uganda, and work in an internally displaced persons camp. This is a camp that people have come to live because they've been forced off their land by war or fighting of some kind, and they don't have their jobs. They don't have a job. They don't have their land. They can't build homes. It's really a very distressing time. And these 4 young people have now gone back to Gulu, where they are teaching at Mother Earth Montessori, a very, very successful work job. And I want to have you listen on the next slide to a young woman who was one of those 4 who was trained. And if you'll click on that so that it'll play, I hope.
I am a teacher from St. Anne Montessori School. I came from Uganda, from organization called NEM. I'm so grateful to be here, working with children, learning what I didn't know. And these children, they are challenging. You introduce something to the child will be able to give exactly and will keep that thing in mind. After the next morning, the child knows that thing. So I'm grateful this kind of education is not in Uganda, and we are going to be the pioneers. I think I can't wait to go there to introduce that education, to build up our children also, to come and to explore, to be independent, to do things on their own.
So Eleanor, could I just say something about that video?
Sure.
It just really inspires me whenever I listen to that. First of all, just the joy of this teacher who has experienced the Montessori training and what a difference it's making in her life, to see the children's faces light up when she offers them a lesson, and the eagerness that they have to come back and learn, which is why we love being Montessorians, because we get to see that joy on the children's faces every day. And another thing that really hits me whenever I watch this, or some of the other videos that we have from these different projects, is that we fund only grassroots initiatives. And what I mean by that is that, we're not going in and telling anyone what we think they should do. These are all projects that have come to us from people living in these various communities who know about Montessori. They understand its transformational power, and they're coming to us saying, we want to be able to offer this to change lives, and we just need a little bit of help to bring Montessori, or to expand how we already have Montessori here in some way. And it is amazing how a little bit of money can have a huge impact. And that's another exciting thing about being a donor for MGGF. Of course, we love big gifts and that's amazing, but even a small amount can make a huge difference.
Thank you, Kim, for bringing that up. If we go to the next slide. If we, this picture is probably not one you expected to see, but we do help build school capacity, and it can be as small as building a outdoor kitchen, or as large as building some toileting facilities, because they all have a life-changing impact. And in this particular case, this is part of a school in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. It's a very poor section of South Africa, where most of the people, about 70–75% of the people, live on government support. And they have started a Montessori school to help their children to become more than what they as parents are. And this turns out to be a sustainable project, and that I want to play another clip in just a minute. But this was our first grant, and it has been truly life-changing, as you'll hear in the next slide. Somewhere in there. It's kind of in the middle.
There we go.
So these are the toilets that the children, 30 children in the morning, 7 staff, and 50 children in the afternoon have had to use. But thanks to the, as I said, to the wonderful sponsors of How Global, Montessori Global Growth Fund, and individual sponsors on Global Giving, we have been able to build something very special. How children and staff can now use these wonderful facilities, which will keep them healthy. A toilet is not just a toilet. It really is a life changer. And we are so grateful to the people who have played a part in allowing us to have these wonderful toilets for our staff and children. Thank you very much to everybody who contributed. You have changed lives in our rural area, and thank you.
And if we'll go to the next slide. As we said, there are 3 things that we do. We provide teacher training, school capacity building, and we'll provide funds for making, refurbishing, or acquiring classroom materials. And on the left, you see a picture of classroom materials made by a teacher in training in Tanzania. She is finishing up her primary training right now. And one of the wonderful benefits of her making her own materials is that she will be able to fix those materials when she goes back to the classroom and they have if one of them breaks. On the right is from a school in North St. Louis, where we gave a grant to help acquire Montessori materials, refurbish existing materials. And if we go to the next slide, there is another video that I want to play for you. This is Kimberly Roberson, founder of Ben Montessori School.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Kendall Robertson. I'm with Beta Montessori School. We're based in St. Louis, Missouri. And the reason why I'm speaking to you today is to tell you about the benefits of the Montessori Global Growth Fund to our school. I'm primary trained, and I had a vision of opening up a school in an underserved neighborhood in St. Louis. And the Montessori Global Growth Fund helped me to do that by providing a grant. We received a grant for $5,000, and that grant helped us with funding furniture for the school, insurance, some basic operational costs that we needed to incur to get license exempt status, and just really to help us to open our doors and lay down a foundation for that first year as we were planning to open. I'm truly grateful for the Montessori Global Growth Fund. Without it, we would not be open today. So thank you so much. Thank you.
And we go to the next slide. And here's where you can make a difference in the lives of under-resourced children and communities around the world. One of the other things is one way is to tell others about it, tell about what we do, show them our Facebook page, show them our website, and encourage them to take a look at us. You can volunteer. We're always looking for additional volunteers. Of course, we need to donate, and I'm going to let Kim wrap it up with telling you about Children for Change.
So as we've talked about, you can use Children for Change to help your students learn how they can make a difference. Again, all you need to do to find out about this program and really just to get the materials sent to you is to reach out to us, and we're going to have our contact information in just a moment. But we're really excited to share these materials with you. We're open to hearing feedback too on how we can make them even better. But I can tell you, as a school that's done this a couple times, it really could not be simpler. And it's just something that will be a great project for your adolescent and elementary students for years to come, that you can continue to tweak and change as your school grows and changes. And we're really excited to partner with you. And as Eleanor was saying, we're always looking for volunteers, and there are lots of ways to do that. We have people on our grant committee. We have people working on our board of trustees like I do. It's not something that takes a huge amount of time, but it's a great way to network with other Montessorians doing great work around the world, and to see the impact that Montessori can make. And we're actually in the process too of hiring somebody. We're looking for people to help manage our growth and our philanthropy. And so, if you're interested in learning more about the positions that we might have available on a part-time basis at Montessori Global Growth Fund that could eventually grow into full-time, you can reach out to us as well. And you can see our contact information on the next slide. So Camilla, I think if you could just go to the next slide. There we go. And we're going to make these slides available. So if you don't happen to have a pen handy, no worries, because we're going to make these slides available to everybody afterward. But you can see the website, our email, our phone number are all on there. And there's also a link right to our volunteer page at MGGF. So we feel really honored to have spent this time with you. I can tell you as a Montessorian that being part of MGGF not only gives me great personal satisfaction, knowing that I'm making a difference, I'm learning a ton. It's just so exciting. And it also inspires me for my day job, just to know that what we are doing every day, let's face it, education, it's satisfying work. It's also really hard work. And being part of MGGF reminds me every day why we are doing what we're doing. And I'm just so excited to be part of it.
So if there
are, oh, great, go ahead.
No, if we have any questions, we'd love to entertain them at this point. I don't know how much time do we have left? A minute or two? A little bit.
we've got, yeah, a bit of time, whatever questions come through. If anyone has questions, feel free to unmute yourself or you can drop them in the chat. I'll go ahead and stop sharing the screen so we can see one another. I
have a question. For the Children for Change, do you typically have like a specific school that or initiative, I should say, that schools can fundraise for? So is it like, did the schools know like we're raising money for this particular initiative, or is it just more general for the Global Growth Fund?
We find that it's most exciting for the children to choose a particular initiative, and we'll always have one or several happening at that time. And so, of course, for the first time when we're sharing the material, we can say, hey, here's what we've got going on right now. But as we as the school moves forward, that information is always also available on our website and on our social media, the different initiatives that we've got going on. And we also partner with Global Giving. And so they can be seen on there as well.
Great. Yeah, I would think the kids would get really excited when it becomes a little more personal, really, and knowing exactly, you know, who they're raising funds for. So that's great.
That's exactly right. Usually they can choose from a few things. That first one, we decided all the money would go to Ukraine because it was such an immediate need and something that I think everyone knew about and could relate to. But in most of the time, like last time I presented to our children, we had a few different things that they could pick from and they chose one.
Yeah. And we'll have on our website pictures from that so that the children can see where the money would be going. They usually, oftentimes, not always, include pictures of the children. And that's one of the things we always strive to ask for from anyone that we're giving a grant. Who are the beneficiaries of that grant? And the children are always the primary beneficiaries.
Sure.
I have another question about the Children for Change. I think it's a great idea. I love how it really does tie in with Montessori philosophy to some extent, with giving them their own freedom to organize and be creative and learn in regards to what they're going to be contributing to. Just a question from I guess like a forward-thinking parent or student. Do you offer any sorts of volunteer time recognition or things like this that students could write and include in their college applications or applications for other programs? Any type of recommendations for students who have been leaders and participating in fundraising and volunteering, things like that?
I would just say that, you know, that's something that could definitely be arranged with the guide. The guide would be in the best position to know what kind of time that the student has committed. And I think it could be pretty simple to partner with, you know, if there's a particular program that the student needs to show so many hours or something like that, it would be pretty simple for the guide to be able to apply what the child has been doing. And, you know, if they're in elementary, they're going to have a work log that's going to show all of that. And so it would be pretty easy for the guide to figure that out and help them with that. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, great.
At the same time, I just want to add that we have in the past given a certificate of appreciation to each school that has raised money for us during the course of a school year. It's just a very simple recognition, but a thank you to say how much we appreciate the work that they have done.
And you guys are a 501c3, so
We are.
So anybody who donates, who, you know, if outside of probably the Children for Change, but just, you know, donations are tax deductible.
Yes, they are.
Great.
So
Any other questions?
So if I know Kim mentioned earlier for the Children for Change, there's a bunch of materials that schools can expect to receive when they request information. Is that can we request that via email? Is there a certain place on your website we can go to for that information, just so we can download the materials to get started?
you can do that. You go to montessori-mggf.org/children-for-change-intro. And I will send that link to the two of you so that you can send that along and include that at the end. I realized we should have put that on the webs on our slides, but it will be there for you. And it's that is a form, and all we're asking on that form is just to have an idea of who you are, what age of students are going to be participating, and about how many, just so we have some idea of what may your classroom or school may do. Now, we know that things happen. We had a much larger number of schools indicating they were interested last year, but things just happen. School gets busy. The end of the year comes upon everybody very fast, and several schools just had to say, no, we can't do it. And that's just fine. We understand that there's no hard and fast obligation.
I've got the link here. I'm just going to drop it in the chat. We'll share it as well along with the recording so everyone can access it easily. But yeah, I've shared it in the chat for those of you who joined in on the call. All right. Any other questions about participating, about volunteering? What kind of volunteer positions do you have that someone could do maybe remotely? Like, do you have anything that maybe requires like emailing or just trying to find gifts, things like that?
Oh, almost everything is remote. So,
Okay.
you know, even though the offices are in Dallas, is that still true, Eleanor? Or have they moved?
We really don't have an office. We're all remote. So we all work from our own whatever. So Kim is in her school, I'm in my home, and our other board members are working either from their work environments or their home environments, whatever is most convenient for them.
And we have current board members in Africa, in Europe, in North America. So really, you know, it does make it a little challenging sometimes when we organize certain calls. You know, some people are getting up earlier than others or staying up later because we're everywhere. But really, it doesn't matter where you are. If you want to get involved or learn more, you can do that.
Sounds good. Yeah, we deal with the worldwide team as well, so. And then the US does daylight savings time and everything.
Everything gets messed up. But yeah, we all do work remote, and everything. A lot of our materials are on a shared server that we all work from, and so that's where the materials are for Children for Change, and those are out there right now. And as soon as I know that somebody is interested in this, then I make that link to that folder on our shared drive available to them, and they can download them.
Great.
Our goal is to make it as simple as possible and certainly free. There's no obligation, there's no financial obligation to use these materials. But we do ask that people get back to us and tell us how we can improve them, because that's one of the best ways for us to make it easier for the teacher or the guide to help him or her introduce philanthropy and help to raise to get the kids to do but encourage the children to do a project.
And we love, of course, to see photos or videos or, to hear the stories about what the children did at a particular school, what they loved about it, how much money they raised, all of those things. It just makes it more compelling. It brings it more, alive for people to be able to imagine what this does for the children.
Does the Children for Growth, do those set of materials have any sort of like framework for fundraising, or do you really just let the students kind of be creative and come up with their own ideas and solutions to fundraising?
I would say we give them a number of tools for them to do it. We ask them to really ask the questions: what is the problem we want to solve? What is the time frame we want to solve it? How do we want to go about doing it? And there are 3 different ways that we've come up with that we think. One is they ask for loose change or ask for donations from friends and family, just straight money. Another one is to provide a service. Maybe they are in a neighborhood where they could walk somebody's dog for them, or they could pick up recycling or something of this nature where they can provide a service. And the third way is to make something. And I was at the AMS conference the other day and talked with a school which is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and they had their kids wanted to raise some money. And so they printed tea towels, and I thought this was great. And they also made coasters for out of wood. And I don't know how whether they bought the wood or what they did or how they paid for the supplies. And but that's one of the other ways is also to make something and sell it. And it could be, I think, Kim, you said you had some bake sales that the children.
That's very popular. We've had bake sales, and then sometimes they actually cook something on site. In December, we had some people making some Ukrainian pancakes. I can't remember what the name of them are for, but we happen to have a couple of families here from Ukraine that shared these, and we're very excited to see that here at the school.
That's great.
And then to go back for a second to kind of planning this whole thing. One of the things that we suggest that the children do is that after they've done their fundraiser is that they sit down and they really take a look at what they did. Did they achieve their goals? Did they meet the need that they wanted to meet? Did they do what they wanted to do? And if there's a way that they could improve it, what ways could they improve that? For the next time, because there may be a next time. So it's a real effort to sort of get them in the idea of project, understanding how to run a project, how to execute a project, and then how to improve it the next time they want to do it.
Great.
Any other questions or comments for Eleanor and Kim before we wrap up? Are any of you interested in getting your schools involved? I have a couple of schools in mind that I know would be interested that I'll reach out to.
Great. Thank you for that.
Thanks very much.
Also, Kim and Eleanor, we'll share all of the links that you shared, including contact information on our socials as well, so people can get involved. And for those interested, the presentation slides will also be available. So if you want to read through the information, and also the contact information is on that last slide as well there for you. Also, you guys are on social media as well. You have an Instagram, Facebook for MGGF, correct? Where you share updates.
Yes.
I recommend to follow. I think Thrive follows you, so we'll keep an eye out for any events or things like that to share. All right, any comments, questions?
Just thank you. We really enjoyed being with you today, and we're looking forward to hearing from a lot of you about getting involved with Children for Change in MGGF.
Thanks so much.
It really is amazing work, and we hope some more schools find MGGF and are able to get their students involved. Thank you so much, Eleanor and Kim, for your time and sharing your presentation and showing us the work that MGGF is doing and the lives that they're changing. We really appreciate your time with us. We'll share this recording shortly. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you can go to the description. All of the links discussed will be there that you can click and learn more about MGGF and how you can get involved. Okay, we'll be back next Thursday with another town hall. We'll see you then. I hope everyone has a great rest of your Thursday and a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.